have it all. I can have it all.
Hello, everybody. This is Christy Whitman, and welcome to the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And as you can see, I have Natalie Ledwell. I'm not even going to say I have a friend. I've got a great friend. You all know who she is. She's been on the show more than anybody else because she's just pure fabulousness in a human body. That's what pure fabulousness looks like, folks.
There you go.
So I've asked Natalie to come on the show because we had a really great discussion about fear. And I know I get this question a lot about, emotions and fear. And so this show is actually how to turn fear into your friend. So Natalie, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for us to have this. I love it how we get to have these awesome conversations, but we get to share the conversation that we have.
Absolutely.
That's going to help other people. Because, we actually before the show, honestly, people were going, okay, so what are we going to talk about today? And fear is an interesting subject to talk about because often we try to avoid it like the plague. We think that it's, the worst thing that we can do. We go to great lengths to avoid fear.
Yes.
And we live inside our little comfort zone for most of our life. But, that inside that comfort zone is not a place to live. It's not a place to live your life. When we talk about fear, I think we want to talk about how it's actually a necessary part of life.
Yes, and especially for the law of attraction people, they're afraid to be afraid. So that on top of it, it's like, I'm afraid because then I'm going to create, that as my reality and, that sort of thing. So let's just get right into it. I mean, how do you use fear? Like, let's share our experiences and how we move through it and past it to make fear our friend.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not feeling fear on a pretty regular basis when it comes to how I show up in the world and the work that I'm doing, I know that I'm not showing up as my best. All successful people use fear as a tool. And I'm going to share a story that happened, last year. And I think I've spoken to you about the PD for Kids program, this personal development kids program. And what happened and how this whole thing came about was that we have a friend that's in Colombia, randomly of all places. He is connected with a dean of a university there. I ended up being on a phone call with them because we had a My Movies for Kids program done. So we had a version of the software done for the children, but then I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, what am I going to do? How do I even reach children with this program? And so this opportunity came up, and when I'm on the phone call with the university, the dean of the university, Mario, is going, look, could you create a curriculum for the school? And I'm like, yes.
Sure I can.
And you know what? And I don't think I even thought about it, but the word just came out of my mouth, and I'm like, yes. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, so then I'm asking the questions, like the kids were between 6 and 12. They wanted 12 lessons. They wanted homework in there to also for the kids to take home so they could introduce their parents to the concepts. And they wanted me to attack the dropping out of school early because we were working with underprivileged children and bullying. I'm like, no problem. Excellent. This is great. I can do that. So next thing you know, I get off the phone. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't even know how to do this. Like I'm why did I say yes to this? Yeah. And I'm fearful that I'm number one not going to be able to do it. That I'm going to look like an idiot. That I've been given this immense responsibility and this incredible opportunity, which let's face it, I couldn't say no to anyway. But I'm gonna fail at it. And I'm going to fail spectacularly. So I was in that space. And so I called Glenn because I'm thinking I need some support. And he's like, standard issue. You'll figure it out. And I'm like, that's not helping. And then I call my girlfriend, Melanie, and she's like, oh, you're a master manifestor. You can figure this out. And I'm like, okay. So I think when it comes to fear, we need to chunk it down. And I think the first question that I like to ask is this fear real or is it imagined? Like, what was it that I was really fearful of? Because the thing is, Glenn was right. When I'm put in these situations, I do always figure it out.
Yeah.
And Melanie was right. I'm a master manifestor. I know how to manifest what I need to be able to get a job done.
Yeah.
So, of course, the first thing I do is create a mind movie. So I'm focusing on the result that I want. Okay, so every time I start to get in this overwhelm, oh my God, this is too much responsibility, I can't do this, I would then go straight to my mind movie and start to shift my focus to what it is that I really did want. And I remember in that, because, when we do that, and with law of attraction, when we're visualizing that end result, it's not just that we see it, we have to be in it.
Yeah.
Like I could see myself in the classroom and the kids running up and all smiles on their face and having conversations with the teachers and them crying about how much the program had made such a difference to the children and to them. I could see all of that and I could feel what it was like. And I would often be moved to tears when I was sitting in that visualization. And so then once I get into that, I know what the end result is. So the next step is, what is the next step? Because what we're doing is we're using law of attraction now to be able to work through a fear.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm like, this is an imagined fear, because the thing is, I know that when I apply what I know and apply the law of attraction principles, I'll be able to do it. So then it's like, okay, so what's my next step? So next step was like, okay, so I rang a friend who's a teacher of mine. I go, okay, is there like a universal way that lessons are kind of written, so at least I look like I know what I'm doing? So she sent me an outline of what a lesson looks like with, the objections and the materials and the ongoing assessments and all that kind of thing. So I figured out what the 12 lessons were going to be. And then I rang my copywriter. I go, dude, I need you to fill this with words. I had a 2.5-week deadline. Plus, I had to change the children's software because it was more written for middle-class white kids, not underprivileged Colombian kids. And I said, can you just flesh it out with words because it'll be faster for me to tweak your words? And he said, yeah, he goes, I've got a secret weapon. I'm like, what's that? He goes, my wife's a teacher.
Oh,
she specializes in early age curriculum. So I'm like,
of course she does. Thank you.
She does. And so here is the other thing as well, to shift from fear. So the thing is, while we're in fear and while we're in that negative emotion, all we can see is how it can't be done.
Right.
That's the only thing that we can see.
There's no
And you
options.
need to shift and get yourself into that higher vibration so you can start to see the solutions.
Yes. Absolutely.
So then I was able to attract that. We met our deadline, and I trained the first 40 teachers through video link up. So I'm actually talking through this webcam to a classroom in the university with 40 teachers and 3 of the education ministers. And every time I say, do you have a question, they just put up their hand and go, look, you have no idea how this is going to change lives down here. So it was pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
But yeah, so fear can, and I think here is the other thing with fear as well. You have to keep moving.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, if you stay in that negative vortex and you're sitting in that fear, then what happens? It immobilizes you.
Absolutely.
And you're just sitting in one space. But if you can use it as a friend, if you use it as a companion.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's also a great barometer, and I'm sure that you do this as well, Christy. It's a great barometer of knowing that you're actually moving forward.
I use fear in a couple of ways. If I feel fear, I know that number one, I'm in lack. Because if I'm fearing something, somehow I'm projecting into a future where I'm not getting what I want. So I'm having this future connection with a future self that is getting the worst possible outcome, instead of connecting with the future self that has everything work out in the perfect way and in the perfect timing and all of that. So that's the first thing I do, is I think, all right, I'm totally projecting and connecting with the totally wrong future self, So I look for what do I want? Exactly what you said. It's like, what do I want? Because then you start focusing on what are the solutions. All that, it's like this perspective. It's like you kind of check out of that perspective and get a whole different perspective. It's like being in a time warp, you know what I mean? And once I do that, then it's like, what am I lacking in? What am I feeling? What place within me that's in lack is feeling this sense of fear? So, let's bring it down to a lot of other people that may be in a place of fear right now, financially, as an example. They're freaking out. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. Well, it's like you're connecting with a future self. It could be a future self in 10 minutes. It could be a future self in an hour, a month from now. But you're projecting into a future that you do not want. And that's causing you to feel fear now. And it's causing you to feel now because you're in lack. You're going, I got nothing. A bill's coming. It's due in 2 weeks. Oh my God. And so instead of being stuck in that, oh my God, I got nothing, lack, connect with, get out of that perspective. And it's like, I'm connected with a future self, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't matter, where money comes to me. And I have exactly what I need. It's like, it's $100 bill. I could create $100. I have enough within me to be able to create $100 to pay that bill. So I'm really bringing it down at a basic level, but that's really what it is for me. It's like, it's projecting what we don't want, and it's also coming from a place of lack and limitation. And so here we are in this, like, we're totally disconnected from all that is, from pure potentiality. We're totally disconnected from the realm of abundance. And then we're in that disconnected place. All we could feel is the fear and the anxiety and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, when we stay there, the longer we stay there, the more that we shut off the flow.
Yes.
There is no flow.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's like, okay, let's say, because money's a big one. Like, I know even if I have days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to pay for this, or I really want to go on this trip, and how am I going to do this, or whatever. It's like you have that feeling in your gut. It's like, oh God, I feel sick. Like, how am I going to pay my bills? I understand that feeling, and it wasn't long ago that I was in that space myself.
Right.
120 grand on a credit cards. But the thing is, that's just one scenario. And I think what we get caught up in, and this is the thing with law of attraction that happens a lot, is that we can't see how.
Yes.
We can't see how it's going to happen, but it's not our job.
Right.
It's not our responsibility. We're not supposed to know how. We're just supposed to keep our eye on the prize and be in that vibrational match with this new reality that we want to create by when we're visualizing, sitting in that and being an emotional match to it as well.
Absolutely.
And then just taking the next step. Because once you create that momentum, like I said, I didn't know what to do next in that project. I'm like, okay, first step is to write the lesson. What does the lesson look like? Help me with that.
Right.
So getting into that. And even now, we actually have a school in Dubai that's going to start teaching this in a week's time. Mm-hmm. I've got teachers in Australia, and this thing is just like blown out. And to be honest with you, I haven't had to go looking for any of it. Most of it has been attracted back to me because I talk about it. Like, if you have a big goal like this, a really good way to be able to enlist a lot of help is to talk about it to other people.
Yeah.
To share your vision and share your passion.
Absolutely.
That also helps to disseminate the fear as well. Because, you're stepping more into it, you're getting the validation of everyone around you. And I think the other thing, too, that we often don't talk about or we forget to talk about is the surrender.
Yes.
The surrender part of the process.
Absolutely.
And I know that with your community, Christy, there's a lot of your community that have been applying law of attraction for some time. So you've gathered enough evidence. Yeah. You know it works.
Yeah.
You know it will work if it works for small things for you, it'll work for big things as well. But then when you can get into the surrender, and I think the surrender is not that it's not going to happen, because I believe with all my every single fiber of my being that I'll be able to create what I want. But the surrender is to how it's going to happen.
And the timing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's going to happen. It'll happen when it's meant to. Yeah. Universe always has my back. And it may not show up the way that I think it's going to show up. Actually, it very rarely shows up the way I think it's going to show up. Like, if someone had told me, yeah, you'll be teaching 40 teachers in Colombia with this curriculum that you created for a school, I'd be like, yeah, right. As if, jellyfish. But that's how it happens. It's crazy. But I think it's that surrender. It's like, I'm like, how do I get this into the hands of children? And then this method shows up, and it's something I could never have planned for in a million years. But because I go through the surrender of it, it's like, okay, thanks universe, this is what you gave me. This is what I got to work with.
Well, one more thing I want to say too, because you brought it up in the beginning, and I think this is important for us to say, and because no matter where you are, when you're putting out a new goal, when you're putting out a new vision, when you're trying to get acclimated to a new vibration, when you're desiring anything else, there's that gap between where you are and where you want to be. And so if we were already in that vibratory place of what we wanted, we would already be feeling comfortable. So naturally, what's going to come up is if we're up in our game, if we're trying to be bigger in the world, if we are wanting to attract more money or get a different job or go into a new relationship, doesn't matter what it is, there's gonna be fear because there's the unknown. And that's such a big thing for us.
Yeah, and you know what? There should be fear. There should be fear because your goal's not big enough or hairy enough if there isn't. Seriously. I mean, I think fear is an indication that, number one, I'm in the right place, and number one, I'm setting big enough goals.
Yeah.
Because it's the things that scare me the most that I know I need to do the most. And whether that's transforming children's lives around the world, or whether that's work that I'm doing on myself and going inside and trying to uncover peel back another layer of who I really am, which is scary for a lot of us and scary for me. But then facing that fear and going, okay, is this fear real or is it imagined?
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, it's imagined because what's going to happen? What's the worst case scenario? I uncover some emotions that maybe I haven't felt for 40 years. I think I can live through that. I think that's okay. I can handle that. And then, okay, well, what's my next step? And move through it from that perspective.
I love those steps. Thank you for that. And I just want to say though, because the last call that we did together, the last interview that we did together, we had some comments from people that unfortunately are still in a place of lack and limitation. They were talking about, well, you guys can buy cars and shoes and all that kind of stuff. What about me? I can't afford my rent. And it's like, I get that because I once was there too. But it's like we practice what we preach. We do this on a daily basis. We still, I don't care who you are, I don't care how successful you are, Natalie and I still to this day have shit that we have to uncover and let go of and work our stuff every day. You know what? It's not as big and bad and hairy as it used to be, but it still shows up. And as wherever you are in the spectrum of becoming a divine manifesting being and becoming a masterful manifester, even just changing your life, we all have to do the same work. And the more you put into this and the more you pay attention when your emotions come up, especially of fear, and you then shift out of it and not stay stuck in it, that's when things will shift for you. So I just wanted to say that because I think it's important.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a very important point that you bring up because, we have created a level of success in our lives, but still we're doing the work.
Yes, every day.
There's always another layer. There's no such thing as a perfect human being.
No.
And the thing is, I love to do the work because even though I know it's scary and I know it's tough and there's going to be tears and, and I'm covering more about myself, I think it helps me to show up in a bigger and better way. And that's what I want for everyone that's watching this show as well. Absolutely. I mean, I think that I'm consistently doing work, because I know that and that work that I do then shows up in the trainings and the work that in my teachings. So it's really helping other people as well. So
absolutely,
yeah. So my tears and my messiness is helping other people. That's what I keep telling myself, as me.
It's true though. Like as I shift a lack thought within myself, as I get out of my lack perspective, it's shifting energy, and it doesn't just shift it for me. It shifts it for everybody because it's an energetic shift. So as we are doing our own work, it's allowing other people to shift into a higher place as well. And those that came before us, the Wayne Dyers and Marianne Williamsons of the world, while they were doing their inner work and doing their shifting, it made way and gave way for us to be able to do this as well. So we're all one, we all really are all one. And what we do affects everybody. And so, and that's one thing that I love about you, Natalie, is that you are so real, so authentic. That's one thing that I cherish in my life is that, I'm in it. And when my stuff comes up, I'll be like, here's my stuff. I got to look at this and I got to go through this. But it's so worth it on the other side. Plus, it always makes for a great story.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the work that we do is systems, it's steps. Yeah. It's not like we're navigating through this, blindly. We know the systems and the steps that it takes to get from where, the place of fear or where you are now into a life that is unrecognizable. Yes. Into a life of time and money freedom and of health and amazing relationships. I mean, it's a way that we, and I think both you and I have the same thing, we're able to break things down into a system that's really easy for people to apply and to understand. And it's not like you do it once and then it's over.
Right.
I mean, now when you have the system, you can do it as many times as you want. It's like a rinse and repeat kind of thing. So when something else comes up, you know.
And it happens so much better because you get the systems down. And so you are going to invite everybody to a training that you have. So can you tell them a little bit about it? Because we're going to put a link underneath the video. So go and click on that. It's a free training.
So it's a free training. And if you click on the link on this page, you'll be able to go through and register for the training. I've got a few of them going. There are limited seats on each of the trainings because I want to make sure that I get to, you know, service everyone or serve everyone that's on the trainings themselves. And the trainings are really about what's holding us back. You know, what is, you know, our fears, and actually go through a process to help you move through that fear, which is a lot deeper than what we've gone through on this call and this show. I also talk about eliminating limiting beliefs. And actually, I've been talking about this for years, but of course, all the inner work that I've been doing recently has completely shifted the way, and I've come up with a way more effective way to be able to uncover like these deep subconscious limiting beliefs that we can pick up even from the womb. We're starting to absorb messages and so forth. So there's a lot of the science that we've got on here as well, a lot of the new science that's coming up, and also some new techniques and things that I've been using that, you know, we've had this is the updated version of this training, but we've had over 217,000 people go through this training with incredible results. So I really invite you to click on the link. When you go through to the page, you just need to pick a time and a date that suits you. And if you can do that, and then training is free. So make sure that you act quickly because there are limited seats on each of the trainings.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for giving that gift of, you know, to my community, to what I call my family. And thank you for being here again. I appreciate you being on the show. I love our conversations. I love our interactions. I always walk away feeling more expanded than I did when we started. So thanks, Natalie. How did this information that we shared about how Natalie and I handle fear in our own lives, how is this going to shift you? What are you going to take away from this, and what are you going to most importantly implement in your own lives so that you can shift out of that fear and start attracting what you do want? Thanks so much, and have an amazing week. So as always, the best discussions happen after the episode at ChristyWhitman.com, where you can join my community, which I call my family. You'll receive free teleseminars, webinars, ebooks, videos, and much more just by being part of the community. Did you like this video? Then subscribe and share it with everybody you know. Check out these other related videos to help you get inspired and informed.